YUYA Sakaki, the greatest entertainment duelist to ever live. But even as Yuya tried to deliver incredible entertainment to the fans and the audience alike, there were a few times that Yuya found himself to be on the losing end of duels. Yuya did not lose all that much throughout Arc 5, but in this video, we are going to take a look and explain all of his losses throughout the show. I hope you all enjoy. Yuya loses to Yuzu, Episode 2. So this is the first time ever that our main girl lead actually defeats our main protagonist. The only other girl to this point that had defeated a main protagonist was Rebecca, and she certainly was not the main girl lead in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, and Yugi of course surrendered in that duel. Yuya and Yuzu are putting on a duel for potential Yugioh students, and the main goal of the duel is simple: utilize pendulum summoning in order to dazzle the spectators and get a bunch of kids to sign up for Yugioh Dueling School. Well, the problem is Yuya wasn't really sure how he pendulum summoned against the sledgehammer, and so when it came time for him to actually pendulum summon, he wasn't able to do it, and it costs him the duel. Yuzu ends up getting the win, and even though that was not part of the actual plan, this was almost like a WWE duel where there was supposed to be a predetermined winner, but unfortunately, Yuya did not play his part correctly, and Yuzu gets the win against our main protagonist. Of Yuya's losses, this is certainly the one that has the least amount of stakes, but still a pretty embarrassing result for our hero. Yuya loses to Akaba Reiji, Episode 51. One of my favorite duels in all of Arc 5 was Yuya and Reiji's rematch at the end of the Standard Dimension arc. It is at this point that Yuzu is missing, that Sora has left, that Tsukakage's brother has been carded. A lot of hell and chaos has been descended onto our main cast, and Yuya is taking out his frustrations on Akaba Reiji. Well, in this duel, while Akaba Reiji wants to push Yuya to his limits, Yuya puts up a really good fight and summons Odd Eye's Rebellion Dragon in what can only be described as an amazingly epic turn against Reiji, but this is exactly what Reiji wanted. And when it seems like Yuya is going to get the win, Reiji activates Kali Yuga's effect, resetting the cards on the field, which allows him to activate them. Reiji is able to then go on a bit of a combo, take his turn, and defeat YUYA Sakaki in what up until that point felt like the only legitimate loss that Yuya suffered in the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, because the Yuzu loss that happened in Episode 2 was due to him forgetting how to pendulum summon, not necessarily him being out-dueled. But in this matchup, he was thoroughly out-dueled, and Akaba Reiji gets the win and then announces that the team is going to go to Synchro Dimension, and he has formed a group called the Lancers. Yuya loses to Jack Atlas, Episode 64. For those of you that may not have seen Arc 5 or don't know anything about Arc 5, you might be saying, Jack Atlas, the guy from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds? Kind of. It is Jack Atlas, but it is certainly not the same version as the Jack in 5Ds. When our Arc 5 team heads over to the Synchro arc, we see characters like Jack and Crow, which are variants of the versions that they were in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, which is still really cool. And the ceremonial duel to kick off the Friendship Cup is none other than Yuya versus the King, Jack Atlas, and Jack is demanding Yuya to show off his entertainment duel, and after a while Jack kind of gets bored and says your entertainment is pathetic, and then just completely and thoroughly wipes the floor with Yuya. This is probably the most shocking loss that Yuya suffers in the entire show, just because of how quickly and swiftly Jack Atlas takes care of business. It was a really fun moment for anybody who watched Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds and showed the gap in dueling strength at this point between Yuya and Jack. Yuya, of course, would get a win in the rematch about 30 episodes later, but this to me was always the most shocking and thorough defeat that Yuya suffered in the entirety of Arc 5, in my opinion. And finally, Yuya loses to Sergey, episode 92. So this duel is all kinds of tomfoolery. It starts because Reira is trying to protect Serena, and he's fending off the never-ending wave of obelisk blue soldiers that just continue to come, which continues to trigger Reira's PTSD. And while Reira is reaching the breaking point, Yuya epically shows up to save her and Serena, which was a really cool moment. Well, then Yuya is assigned to duel Barrett, and Barrett's main goal is to break Yuya, getting him to go berserk, and he starts succeeding in this plan. While that is happening in the same room, Yugioh and Yuri end up connecting, and they are having a duel that is going on separately, but right next to the duel between Yuya and Barrett. While all of this is going on and the Hitotsune chants are beginning, Yuzu then shows up, and the power of her bracelet, aka plot device, separates all of the U-boys from each other and allows Yuya to calm down and focus on the duel. But right when that happens, Sergey Volkov shows up, interrupts the duel and takes the intrusion penalty, and swiftly defeats Barrett. Sergey would then go on to defeat Yuya, re-kidnapping Yuzu, who had just been reunited with Yuya about 10 minutes later, and Yuzu is once again gone. It was a very frustrating episode because it felt like we were finally going to get some plot-relevant stuff with the U-boys and becoming one, and then it was interrupted by Yuzu and the bracelet, and then Yuzu was taken by Sergey, who interrupted the original duel of Yuya and Barrett. This episode and this string of episodes had so much going on to it, and it feels like not a lot came out of it. Yuzu once again was separated from Yuya, and the U-boy mystery just continued to deepen. But yeah, this is the last loss that Yuya suffers in the show. Well, kind of. Yuya, of course, is part of Zark. I don't know if you want to consider the Zark loss in episode 140 against Reira and Rei, and really the gauntlet of duelists that Zark faced. I personally don't, because I view Zark as a different character, but I guess it's fair to just mention that one. And that wraps it up. Listen, Yuya only lost 4 times on screen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 to Yuzu, Reiji, Sergey, and Jack. Some pretty strong duelists that Yuya lost to be honest. And I always felt like 4 was kind of the sweet spot for a really good amount of losses that a protagonist should have. It's not too little, it's not too many, so it still has that shock value. And yeah, hopefully this was a little bit of a memory trip for you Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 fans, or for people that maybe did not see Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Those first 50, 60 episodes are really, really good. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Definitely leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what your favorite Yuya loss was, or just your favorite Yuya duel in general. If you want to see this type of video for all the protagonists, I'll have the playlist link down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.